You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 17th of March 2025.
And we're recording.
So Gareth just asked me if I would be a landlord. Just for the record, he was also sorely tempted.
No.
He didn't say no. You didn't say no. Don't do this to me. You didn't say no.
Well, okay, fine. We were talking about having a bunch of money and then being like, I was just saying I don't want to work, okay? And then I was like, if you get a bunch of money and then buy some properties and then just coast. And then I was like, would you be a landlord? And then he went, yes, straight away, okay? And then he asked me...
And then
he asked me would I be a landlord, and I hesitated. But then...
Yeah, hesitated in the positive direction. Just because the mic is on doesn't mean you go, oh, welcome me.
We don't know.
I know, yeah. Think about it. You rent out your room. You have 3 rooms in your house.
Yeah.
You rent them out for 400 quid each. And people are going, thank you. Like, you're so sound. 400 quid. Like, you're so sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I could charge 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
But I'm actually sound, so I'm only going to charge
and then,
400 quid.
Weeks are passing, and you're like, I am why?
Yeah, 400 quid. Like, just not worth getting out of bed for 400 quid.
And then somebody goes like, oh yeah, we're going to raise X thing by whatever percentage. And then they go, I have to pay this? God, and I'm charging them this. And then they go, my washing machine's broken. I was like, fucking, the washing machine's broken. I'm charging, you're getting paid, paying me 400.
Fix it yourself, you know? And then, it just spirals from there.
I know.
2 years, 6 months' time, you're charging 1,500 quid. There's 16 people in the house.
I'm appearing on Virgin Media talking about how small mom and pop landlords are on their knees.
Yeah. And here's a trick. I'd be an accidental landlord.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? No one knows.
Slips in
your
property.
I never meant to get into this game, but I'm stuck.
Yeah.
The government promised me that this was the way to do it, and I did everything right. So I'm charging
everything right, and they indicted me. That's what everybody.
So I'm going to charge
all of these fuckers sound like now.
250,000. Yeah. Imagine getting $1,000 a room. You have $3,000 coming in every month.
Yeah.
For doing nothing.
And also, the state is entirely backing you. So you go
and you get to complain about it.
You get to complain about it. People are like, you don't understand. It's his property. Are you saying that he doesn't have the right to demand whatever he wants in his property? And then everyone goes, yeah. Oh, you're right, actually.
I suppose he does.
Yeah.
I suppose he can be as unreasonable as he likes. I said it's like being a drug dealer in Baltimore. It's the only game in town. The only factory that's hiring.
The difference is that selling drugs is still illegal in Baltimore. Okay. So
it's practically illegal. I haven't seen the show, but
yeah,
it's like a dystopian science fiction show, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You mean people live like that? Yeah.
So we just wanted to get that for our left-wing podcast on the record, straight off the top.
Just so everyone knows, I'm the brave one here.
It's a slippery slope. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I wish I was a landlord now. That fantasy really got to me.
Well, I don't want to be a landlord, but I would like the idea of somebody sending me a bunch of money having done fucking nothing. That would be great.
Yeah, and then when you then you're like, I feel like a change of scenery. You just throw them out. Like, I feel like living down the street for a while.
And then you're living there. It's like, oh God, it's a bit cold in here. I better get some, insulation, some heating, all this type of shit. Like suddenly you're like,
damp proofing. Yeah,
yeah.
there's lots of black mold in here.
Yeah. God.
Something's
Actually,
not taken care
here's
of.
what you do. Here's what you do then with the black mold. You blame them. Jesus, they let this get out of hand, didn't they? They really should have kept
Keep
on
the
top of
deposit.
this. Yeah.
Keep their deposit. Yeah, that's free money.
Yeah. That was that moment when I got radicalized. Is when I set off the fire alarm in a house, and they hadn't provided anything like the number to turn off the fire alarm. So the landlady came over.
Yeah.
She lived next door, and she kept calling me an idiot the entire time. What sort of fool sets off the fire alarm? What sort of idiot sets off the fire alarm? It's a very normal thing to do.
Yeah,
Every now and again. And I was like,
no, I've never done it, but
and I was like, excuse me, like, you can't call me an idiot. And she goes, excuse me. And she got really mad at me, and she basically started giving out to me. But the thing that was the radicalizing moment was where she goes, well, that's it. You'll just have to be out next week. Okay. And she just like had decided in her head, like, this action that I had taken had caused like property damage essentially. So that meant that she could keep the deposit, and she was just going to turf us out with like a week's notice, And I was just suddenly like, well, I don't know what it is, but it was, when I could see it in her head, the switch click where it's like, I can make some money out of this instantly, And that she just became like a different person entirely. Anyway.
I'm on her side now.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's a good headspace to be in. The landlord headspace makes you more sympathetic to the landlord.
Yeah, the noise.
Yeah.
Devalue the property,
There was that article, maybe I wasn't even going to mention it, but have you seen that in the Dublin Inquirer that these lads have been living in an apart hotel for like 7 or 8 years?
Really?
Well, here it is. Let me pull it up because the headline was the funniest part about it. Yeah, here we go. Listen to this. RTB rules eviction notices sent to tenants in Rathmines Tramco building were invalid. The landlord, who's trying to turn the building into homeless accommodation, says he plans to appeal the decision. So it's like this apart hotel, and these guys, like, the people who let out the rooms were like, well, these guys knew it was a hotel. I was like, yeah, but they were living there for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And then they were so a bunch of the people just left. They just moved on. And so now the thing is part like homeless accommodation and then part housing these other people, But let me see this thing. Oh yeah, here's the other funny thing. 2 rent increases had also been invalid, the adjudicator ruled. So these residents were due a refund of $5,600 in overpaid rent. So that was also a nice win.
Well, the good news is that I hear there's a nice homeless shelter they can move into.
I know. Like, that's the crazy thing about, like, it shows how dysfunctional and stupid and awful it is, where it's like, oh, actually, I can make more money renting this out to the state as like homeless accommodation. So I'm now going to like potentially create. Although this is what the guy said. If I can get it here. Because the landlord, oh yeah, here he goes. Not one person was made homeless, Stewart said. I wouldn't have that on my conscience. In November 2024, some current residents had said that Stewart had offered them alternative accommodation, but some felt the accommodation offered was a step down. One alternative was a big house with a kitchen shared by around 20 people, said Naeem
20 people.
El Sami. So he's like, at Tramco, each studio has its own kitchen. So that's just like, they all had studio apartments with their own kitchen. The guy's like, I wasn't about to kick them out in the street. I was about to, shove them into like a slum.
A tenement, yeah. Fair play to him anyway.
Yeah.
Fair play to all involved.
We're actually a pro-landlord podcast now.
So if you had a house, would you rent out a room?
Yeah, probably.
Pretend like you're off. Yeah, okay. You wouldn't be a landlord.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Get me on a fucking technicality.
Boom, sniped.
Unbelievable.
Gotcha.
But I'd be the nice landlord. And also, because I'm a live-in landlord, I'll be like, lads, the washing machine's broken. I better fix it.
You'll be like, stop cooking oats. It smells.
Yeah.
What strange food are you cooking? Rice? It smells. It's smelling up the house.
I'm trying to think who would be my tenant, because it'd probably be like a mate, wouldn't it? You'd just be like, you try and get like a friend in there.
No, I wouldn't do the friend thing.
Okay.
Imagine it was me and then I was handing you over like 750 quid a month. Just looking at you in the eye. Here you go, Gareth.
I'm sorry, it's the mortgage, you know? Anyway, I'm thinking of putting in a patio. That'll be nice when I'm old and frail and I'm able to sit out there and have my little like teas or coffees or whatnot. And then your friends are, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice for you, wouldn't it?
And if you're still alive, you can use it.
Yeah. Cost you extra though. That's also something they're doing at the moment. Did you see that?
Oh, that'd be sick.
The communal. Have you seen those? No, that like some of these providers are being like, actually, it'll be €100 extra to use the common areas.
Yeah. Here's what I'd do. I'd be like, you get 3 toilet flushes a day. Any more, I'm charging. Wear and tear.
I was thinking about like installing like a little man at the you know, like for the toilets in like Stephen's Green, where there's somebody waiting there. Make sure that you pay 50p or 50 cents. Get in a guy. So if he sees you taking your lunch out to my beautiful patio, then he'll be just like kind of glaring at you until you pay the 50. Actually, I just installed a turnstile. So I'm also like, I've actually also made the imaginary guy in my head redundant as well, because I'm becoming a landlord and a small business owner at the same time.
I'm saying you could probably get him on like community welfare employment or like job spreaders. So
some Ukrainian, and I'm getting paid to employ them.
Yeah.
Bless.
It'd be nice though. Yeah. It's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. It is the worst day of the year. Mitch said he was in town and he saw. By the way, Mitch was up early. He wasn't up early. He laughed at me when I said it was early. Okay, but he went up to have a run in town, and I was like, "What is this? What are we?" You know?
Yeah,
the runs. And I'm not talking about. Yeah. No, it's just that.
I'm talking about flushing the toilet more than 3 times.
He said, no, I don't know if he was exaggerating, that there was at least 1,000 people waiting for a pub to open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
That was at like 9 or 10.
In Dublin, St. Patrick's Day is really the day the subtext becomes text, when it's like,
yeah,
okay, it's officially, this city is for tourists now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, are you from here? Get out. Like, are you homeless? We're going to run you over in a tractor now.
Yeah.
It's like we have a fleet of tractors that like drag homeless people by the ankle out to...
Not only that, but like the leader of the parade this year, Zainab was saying, is Victoria Smurfit. Like that, you don't get many more brazen than that. Do you know what I mean? It's not even like, remember like previous years, it was like John C. Reilly, and it's like, okay, that's a bit of a reach, but I like John C. Reilly, so that's fine. And I was going, yeah, it's Victoria Smurf. I was like, well, what's her deal? She's like the daughter of one of the richest guys in Ireland. Like, okay, well,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, good to have her, I guess.
Well, what should we talk about? We're talking about St. Patrick's Day. We keep talking about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
God, let me just read a bit of this, okay? So there's a few headlines pre-visit, okay? So Fergie Ahern says, don't correct predictable Trump. Unpredictable Trump. Don't correct unpredictable Trump. Ahern's advice to Taoiseach. Then Gaza is not the hill to die on, says Sean Spicer for Taoiseach ahead of Trump meeting. Do you remember fucking Sean Spicer?
Yeah.
The first guy to get like
news like last year.
Why are we doing this? Do you know why are we doing this?
I don't know.
And then those are the kind of pre ones of like. Then there was all these like Mícheal Martin's going to have to tread carefully. There was obviously a bunch of other articles about this type of stuff, and we were all very excited. We were like, I wasn't excited in the way that they were excited. I was excited in like either let's hope Trump doesn't show up, and Mícheal Martin is devastated, or Trump does show up and then he tears him a new arsehole.
Yeah, I think we were both hoping. We were both hoping that Mícheal will get another Mícheal.
We were hoping that, and
it happened.
Like,
no,
you know, he looked and sounded really awful, and everybody who I know, anybody who like watched it, was like, that was the most undignified performance I've ever seen. Even the columnists, okay? But the columnists still were like, this is great, okay?
I thought of a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, the Cheeto meets the ghoul bone.
Like, the Banshee bone. Yeah, that's good.
The Banshee bone.
Yeah, that's good.
The Cheeto meets the Banshee bone.
Or as I like to call him, the Mango Mussolini.
That doesn't...
Eating... He's like a fucking...
What is mango? Fruit. Mussolini. Okay.
Well, let's start with the dictator. That should be easy. Okay. Duffy. Owen Duffy? Yeah. Maybe he's not a dictator, but he's a fascist, you know?
Hitler?
He needs to be somebody who's kind of low tier.
Banana Hitler.
Banana Hitler? Yeah.
Yeah. Mango Mussolini meets Banana Hitler.
Meets the Kale Hitler.
Yeah, because he's healthy.
He's a healthy.
Yes.
Actually, that was another question they asked him. Did you see this? That somebody asked him, what would you have on your chicken fillet roll order in America?
Who asked him that?
Some fucking gobshite American who did not know what the hell she was talking about. So she was like, what would you have on your chicken order? Or something like, she said something like that. And I was like, she didn't even get the question right. He was like, I'm a salad kind of guy. Oh.
Shut up. That sucks.
I'll have to show you. I'll send you the clip. I thought you'd seen it. I thought you'd seen this.
Arrive here at a time of great change in the economic and diplomatic landscape in the United States. Some would say it's changing hourly. And there's a lot to discuss. I have taken an informal poll, and the people want to know, above all, what is your chicken fillet order? Sorry? What is your chicken fillet order?
My chicken fillet order?
Yes.
You see, I mean, I'm a food pure. Sorry, Mike. So I'm going to put this on now. My chicken fillet order. Okay.
Mayonnaise, spicy.
No mayonnaise, no spice. I'm a salad kind of guy. I'm a purist on food. So as best I can. I have a chicken salad. Right? Don't kind of fill it with sauces or anything like that. Tomato, egg.
Good to know. We're off to
Not excited, don't worry about it. It's just me.
We are going to get to some of the more.
Fair play, man. He answered the question, you know?
Yeah.
Fair play.
I may not like the answer. I may not always agree with them, but you gotta give them credit where it's due.
Yeah. Egg.
What he did actually was. What was even weirder is that she goes, "What would you have in your chicken fillet order?" He's like, "I don't understand." Okay, and then he tried to figure out what he would say, and then he goes, "I'm more of a salad guy." And so basically, what I think he described is just a chicken salad. So
Yeah, but with no sauce.
no.
Like, not to get too Johnnies on this, but no sauce is crazy. Like, just chicken, tomato, egg, and leaves. That's diabolical. Also, saying no spice is,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just ruling out spice entirely is funny to me. Yeah, he said no mayo, but the mayo is ordering the roll.
Yeah. Mayo
The
for Sam.
mayo-ass t-shirt.
Mayo for Sam. Mayo for that's what I was saying. I was in the crowd
Yeah.
going mayo for Sam.
When he said no mayo, you said mayo for Sam.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah. You think that'd be one of the things they drill into him? They'd be like, for some reason, these gone beans at home are obsessed with chicken fillet rolls, and somehow it's bled over to America. So, like, you're just gonna have to answer this. Just say something normal, and he was like, "Okay, egg, gotcha."
I love that when they go like, "Oh, he's a real health food nut." And so when they ask him that, they go like, "What's your chicken fillet roll order?" And then suddenly I was like, I can't even imagine him eating carbs. And it's not because he's a health food guy. It's because I just think his frame couldn't handle it. Like, he would eat like a single piece of chicken and it would just like literally tear a hole in his stomach lining, you know?
Yeah, he'd be walking around with a colostomy bag then for the rest of his life. There's something repugnant as well about what she said. They put out a poll on Twitter, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just these freaks being like, wouldn't it be gas if he asked him his fillet roll order? It's like, it's just so embarrassing, you know?
So then they do the meeting. Here's just another one before. Robert F. Kennedy has just arrived at the vice presidential breakfast ahead of the Taoiseach. So he had to have breakfast with Robert F. Kennedy. I just think that would be like the most unpleasant thing in the world.
Yeah, but you're having like a glass of petrol and like a bug salad. What does he even eat? He eats like roadkill and stuff like that, doesn't he?
Roadkill. Yeah, he ate like a bit
he ate a bear.
He ate whale. He ate like something weird. Like he ate whale. He ate like he tried to get a dead black bear into the back of his car. Here's a story. I mean, maybe people know this. There was some like, there's a story dropping tomorrow about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And so he's like, I'm going to get ahead of this. So he's going to record a video with his good friend Roseanne Barr. Okay. So Roseanne Barr is like, he's like, and I was driving up the Black Hill Mountains, and he said that he was on this mountain, okay, and then by the side of the road, he found a dead baby black bear, okay, and then he was like, I can use it, I can take its hide and get some meat from it. Now, he said meat.
Okay.
So then he puts it in the back of his car, okay, and then goes off hunting for the whole fucking day, then drives back into New York City, and he's like having glasses of wines with friends, and then he's got to get a flight in the morning, and then they're like, oh shit, do you remember that carcass of that black bear in the back of your car?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, here's what I'll do, I'll dump it in Central Park, okay? But here's the other thing that he did. He didn't just do that. He was like I'll have a laugh. There was like a bike nearby, like a city bike. So he positioned the bear on top of this city bike and then left it in the park. Okay. And then basically just forgot about it for 12 years. And then his niece or something was going to like rumble him. Something was going to happen, like where it was going to come out. So he thought he'd come out ahead of it. And Roseanne Barr's laughing. But then you look up like the news footage from that time of like, locals in Central Park have discovered the den. And like, nobody who saw this is laughing. They're all like deeply disturbed.
If you can do that to an animal, why not to a human being?
Yeah,
they're like,
there's
a number
sinister,
of,
like.
but because there's like, what are the things they were saying? Because first of all, people see that and they go like, what does that mean? Does that mean there's a serial killer like testing out methods or something, you know? Or like the other one that they said is that somebody said like it looked like that this this black bear had been fucking savaged. Like it had been like brutally stabbed to death. Okay.
He was eating it on the way home. Oh, it had been stabbed to death.
Well, I don't know. Like they were just like basically his story is like, oh, it looked like it had been hit by a car and it was fine. Whereas a lot of people were like speculating, like, well, it's a baby black bear and they're endangered. So you have to say like, and he was up there hunting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like,
you're not really even supposed to eat. Like you're not supposed to eat what the apex predators. Anyway,
no.
They're like full of worms and stuff. And like he already has a worm in his brain.
He's got a worm in his brain. I forgot about that as well.
So, and then you're not really supposed to eat like dead animals unless they're still warm. I don't know. It just sounds like the craziest thing you could do. It's like you find the most germ-riddled thing and then like, I'll just eat this raw.
No, he's responsible
Americans
for
are
like,
losing their mind.
Oh, I know.
On Instagram, this guy keeps coming up and he's like, he keeps saying he's eating fermented meat. But it's like, he just gets his meat uncooked and sticks it in a jar for like a month. And then eats it. And like, there's loads of people doing this. And it's like, it's just a jar full of slime.
Oh, God.
And he's like,
why?
He's like, look at that. He's like, it's good for you. And then he's like gagging and retching while he eats it. It's like, your body is rejecting it. You know what I mean? Like, millions of years of evolution have like warned us not to eat. Like, just putrid meat. And you're forcing it down.
I don't know, man. You know the Americans, and then they're like, here's the other thing, all right? So you know when Trump was like, they're eating the cats and dogs, okay?
Yeah.
And it was like, fucking, your department, your guy's going to eat a black bear. They're eating fermented meat in the United States. You know what I mean? There's this idea of like the uncultured foreigner who doesn't know you're not supposed to eat the swans in the fucking ponds. And it's like, Americans, like the stuff that you're putting into your body is insane. Not that I'm giving any credibility to the stuff that the cats and dogs thing, but like, it's just wild. It's just wild of like, how do they have it both ways so often?
I know. Do you think they were eating the cats and dogs?
No.
You think they weren't?
Yeah, I think they weren't.
Okay.
I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna go on right
Okay,
here
man.
and say they weren't. So what I've written down for this one, what I've written down for this is seeing him in the Oval Office is I hate seeing this cunt so happy. He was delighted. He was so happy.
I like the way he came in crawling on his hands and knees. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Avoiding all eye contact.
Speaking when spoken to.
Yeah. It was how his tactic was like, just submit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In every way. And fair play to him now, it worked. It was an interesting strategy. Very shrewd, you know. I was thinking.
I'm not joking. Like this is. Like I've read
the
all
art
of
of
these.
Diplomacy.
I read most of these articles now, and that's literally what they're saying. Like, you know, Mícheal Martin went in, and you know, it's an interesting tactic of bending over and spreading apart your arse cheeks and saying, "Lash it in, please, lash it in."
Yeah, it is sort of like, imagine you go up to a girl, and you're like, "If you don't go out with me, I'm going to kill myself."
Interesting.
I'm going to shoot myself in the head. And then everyone's like, what a player. You know, like
old tactic.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. And it's like, whoa, he scored a 10. You know, like, what a you're like crying and snot is running down your nose. She's just like giving you a fake number. And it's like, whoa.
Guess who got her numbers? Wiping tears away.
Yeah. Wipe the snot away. That's what it was like. It was like what could he have gotten from that? Because the biggest thing that came out of it was like, Trump going, oh, they're doing so well that there's a housing crisis. And then, and that's a good problem to have. And Mícheal Martin's like, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, sir. And it's like, if that
What
is
he
the
said was-
lens through
that's not
which
even-
Trump sees you.
No, just to say, what he said was a great answer, Mr. President.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, if that's the lens that Trump is viewing you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what concessions or what deals could you have possibly got?
Yeah.
Like, Trump walked away from it being like, Ireland's doing really well.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a good thing, because we're not.
I actually watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Admittedly on double speed. I have the highlights here. But the funny thing was the Trump, he acknowledged, he's like, yeah, they're like stealing all of our money. Well, they're not. First of all, we're not stealing all of their money. We're stealing a bunch of other people's money through tax haven, whatever. The money that they think rightfully should be funneled back into the United States instead of Ireland. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, Trump was like, he just respected it. He was like, oh, yeah, of course. That's a good thing to do. But it's gone on too long and we need to wind it down now. Because, like, you're stealing all of our money. It was his take on it. So, like, all of this stuff is just very funny when you think of, like, the context of which it's being said, where Mícheal Martin is, like, sitting across from him, okay? So Trump is I don't know what department this is, okay? But it's like, they're asking them questions about America. But he brings up, like, Linda McMahon. And he's like, Linda McMahon is like his, like, let me find out who she is. Do you know Linda?
Vince McMahon's.
Exactly. So
the wrestling guy.
Yeah. So they're talking, she's the Secretary of Education in the United States. And she's like basically dismantling the Department of Education. And he's like, yeah, it's great. We've got Linda there. She's great. Linda McMahon, she's great. She's, got business and whatever. He just says all this shit. And Mícheal Martin is like sitting there the entire time while the former host of a reality TV show is talking about the wife of Vince McMahon dismantling the Department of Education in the United States. It's like just one of the most unbelievable things to think of. But anyway, then he called JD Vance Mr. VP, which I thought was funny. He's like, you got something. Trump goes, you got something to say about that, Mr. VP? And he hands it over to JD Vance. So then somebody goes,
it's funny that, like, you're saying reality TV, Vince McMahon's wife, and like Mícheal Martin is like, he's not any less awed by it. You know what I mean? Like, he's still like wowed by
he is so happy to be there. He's like, oh my God, the room, the look of it, the flags, the pageantry. He's like, it's amazing. It's like none of it, you're right, none of it is in any way sullied by how disgusting and oafish and terrible.
Yeah.
So then somebody asks about, they were like, Sinn Féin's not here. Like half of like the government in the north isn't here. And then he goes, Trump's like, what do you mean? Like, what's, and they were like, well, they didn't show up. They're boycotting it. And then he goes, why? And then they go, Gaza. He's like, oh. And he just rolls his eyes and doesn't respond. And then Martin, can I just interject here? Can I just come in? And then he's talking about important conversations need to be had about, peace and stuff like this. And Sinn Féin, they were very catered to during the peace process. They had to come to a lot. And then he brought up John Hume, and he was saying,
catered to is such a disgusting way of putting it.
I know.
Like, they were part of the Good Friday Agreement. They weren't catered to.
I mean, if I have that right, let me get the exact quote from. But like all intents and purposes, that was it. He was acting like Sinn Féin were obstinate, and then everybody had to make a load of concessions to them in the for peace. And then he brings up John Hume, and then somehow it pivots to talking about Ukraine, and then Trump starts talking about how pointless the war in Ukraine is, and then he says it doesn't affect you very much because they're not Irish. He's talking about the people who are dying. That was one of the funniest moments where he's just like, now he basically was going like, I know it's crazy to think about because they're not Irish, but actually like people dying is like bad. Like this is, it was like,
Did Martin say anything?
he just kind of sat there and nodded and yeah.
So the one thing he's really so far come out about is Sinn Féin are bad.
Yeah. And also, since that meeting, he also has, on 2 separate occasions, said, like, they should have come. Why didn't they come? This is like...
I saw that, yeah.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Oh, yeah.
The Harvey Weinstein hot tub, Somebody sitting next to him like, come on, this is great, actually.
Yeah. We all Martin with like a virgin pina colada. He's like, this is very good. Very good, actually. It's very good in here.
Yeah. Then Trump brought up about housing, and then, we mentioned that. Trump says he asked, then they start talking. So basically says, what's happening in Ukraine is terrible. We need to wind it down, and nobody wants to wind it down, and nobody's interested in peace. And peace is the only thing. We need people to stop dying. And, he's like, loads of Russians have died as well. So anyway, then,
When Trump goes, it's terrible what's happening in Ukraine, Mícheal Martin's like, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
Good. I like it.
But then they start talking about Israel. Okay, so then Trump's like, oh, it's terrible. I've seen some awful stuff. The worst thing ever was like October 7th. October 7th was the worst. Blah blah. But then he goes, this one was very funny. He just goes, I was talking to some of the people who were released by Hamas. Okay, now this isn't a direct quote. Okay, but he was like, and I was asking them, how did they treat you? Was there any sort of like kindness to them at all? Was there any point where they like offered to share a piece of bread with you? I just want to like that's such a movie thing, just imagining like what it's like to be held in a movie, and then the one nice terrorist who offers a piece of bread and then gets beaten for his transgression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he talks about how sick the Democrats are, and then he says they don't care about Israel. They only care when Ukraine died. That's what he said. I don't know what he meant by that.
The only thing they liked is when they heard about the death taking place with Ukraine. They were happy about that.
I love the way he speaks.
What's the
cold take, but
what's the thing he said in the car? Do you remember in the Tesla like last week?
It's like, oh, it's all computers in there.
It's all computer. It's all computer.
Yeah, and it is.
Everything's computer.
But then he says, he talks about how the Democrats are sick, and then he says, Pocahontas was clapping. Pocahontas, I saw her clapping. And then it just kind of, I didn't really understand it. And then he trails off in a very weird way. And this one I was surprised. Like, so everybody in the Irish media, their breakdown of this event, they were like, well, that's good stuff. We learned about FDI. We figured out all the, like that, just kind of, he managed to handle Trump, and like we're all the better for it, and etc.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned this quote, and this is a verbatim quote. He says, Schumer is a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish, but he's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian.
Yeah.
And Mícheal Martin is like sitting right there,
Yeah.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. He's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian.
And he's just like, yes, sir. He's Palestinian.
And then Trump goes on a big rant about immigration, which somehow becomes about transgenderism. And then he says, now the Democrats need to get on board and start proposing good tax policy so that Ireland and other countries can't take our business away from us. And then he commends Ireland for stealing it.
I do love how little any of this has to do with Ireland. It's just like, he just remembers that there's like a leprechaun sitting next to him. So every so often he comes back to Ireland,
Well, he likes it because but the way he's looking at it is like, they're crafty. They're crafty now. They stole our money. I'd have done it. I'd have done it too, but it's got to stop.
Yeah.
And then Gavin Riley asks, that was funny, imagining Gavin Riley in the Oval Office asking Trump a question.
Yeah, just cum dripping down his leg the whole time. Like, I can't
And these
believe I'm
hallowed
here.
halls, he touches it up against the desk that Barack Obama sat at for 8 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
This big wet stain all over.
Gavin Riley says, how fast are your plans to try and bring some of these companies back to America? Trump basically says, yeah, we're going to get very fast. We'll have to talk about it. And then this is when Martin jumps in straight away. He sat there the whole time while it's like, Ukraine, they're a bunch of bitches and we need to wind that up. And Zelensky's a coward. Chuck Schumer's a Palestinian, Palestine bad. The brown hordes at the gate, etc. Then all of a sudden they go, what about like the pharma companies? I feel this one, Mr. President, just straight in.
Yeah.
So he says it's a two-way street. He brings up that Ryanair buy Boeing planes, which I thought was a funny thing given that all the plane crashes that are happening in America right now. He's like, oh, we're buying all of your planes that constantly crash.
Yeah.
Good news, everybody. And then he says, he lists off a bunch of companies. One of the companies he brings up is Smurfit. And he says Smurfit creates thousands of jobs. Do you think that's true?
I don't even know what Smurfit is.
I don't know what it is.
Like, I know it's not the vodka.
Mm.
There is a vodka called Smurfit, isn't there?
No, it's Smirnoff.
Smirnoff. And I know there's a school of business in UCD.
Smurfit Business School, yeah.
But that's about it.
So, like, you know, the whole thing with the bowl of shamrocks is apparently it was designed by one of the guys who owned Waterford Crystal, like the glass manufacturer, to be like, oh yeah, if I get my glass bowl in front of people, then they'll buy it, you know? And so then when you have like somebody like Smurfit, and they go, Smurfit is like this incredible businessman. And then, but then you're like, you're playing with such a stacked deck. You know, the time in Ireland where like, you know.
Oh, yeah. Like a smart businessman was like, it's like a guy who wore a funny suit on TV. And people are like, oh, he's good at advertising. You know, he got the word out.
He's got you talking.
Yeah. Or it's like a guy who put like,
yeah.
What, go on.
No, what I mean is it's similar to, remember when we went to that advertising thing in the local enterprise office?
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes like, oh yeah, so I approached Jamie Oliver at an event and I got him to promote my thing. And then you're going like, okay, back up. Like, how do I get to an event where I can get Jamie Oliver to promote anything that I do? You already have this. So the idea was like, I have an ingenious business proposal where I will get my politician friend who's Taoiseach to give a bowl of my thing, you know, and then we have like Smurfit. It's like, I'm just imagining, I don't know what like era of like business he was in, but you were talking about where the state's being carved up and just given to people. And then it's like, this guy is so good at business. And it's like, you don't have to be good at business to be a businessman in Ireland.
Yeah, I know. He really just had to give like the Minister for Justice like £500.
I'll let you stay in my
state contract.
I'll let you stay in my holiday home in Skibbereen. He's like, sold. You know?
Yeah. I'll give you a turkey every Christmas. For life.
Yeah.
Okay. You can run the private hospitals.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it a big one. Make it a 10-pounder. That mean either being a landlord or being of that class where you can just ring up like, imagine ringing up who, like Dara O'Brien.
Yeah.
And being like, I'll give you a pint of lard. And he's like, okay.
About 2 pints and steepled fingers looking into.
Yeah. And you could build every iPass center in the country.
So then the next thing that happens on this meeting is that some Fox guy goes, what would your number one issue be to make Ireland great again? MIGA. Miga. And then Mícheal Martin goes, well, housing is a big issue in Ireland and we have to invest and we have to, you know, all this shit, whatever. which he's now used as cover, by the way, when anybody was like, remember when you were like laughing about the housing crisis and sucking off the president? And he just goes like, actually, I said that housing was a top priority later on, so I don't think you're very, very genuine at all. No, it's like,
He's basically just being like, but later I said the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next question, this guy, he's like, I got 2 questions. So that was how would you do to make Ireland great again? And then the second question was, Ireland is known for its happy, fun-loving people. So why did you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland and destroy your happiness?
Epic own.
I know. And then Mícheal Martin, like, you should see his face of like, I don't know who that is. Like, he doesn't say anything because he's like, I don't know enough to comment. But he like, you can see it in his face. He's like looking at his handlers going like, am I allowed to say this person sucks or do I just stay quiet? So he just keeps laughing. And then Trump goes, you don't know her? And then he goes, no. And he goes, you're better off.
That's funny.
Yeah. I do love it. She was like, well, so initially the headline was Rosie O'Donnell is like moving to Ireland to get away from like homophobia like and racism. And I was like,
welcome.
That's interesting. And then the other part of it was though, well, actually my house burned down in the LA fires. And I was like, yeah, I mean, maybe you should move to Ireland then.
Yeah. Who is Rosie O'Donnell?
I don't know. Like, I mean, like, I
realized when I saw a picture of her, this whole time I've been thinking of Roseanne Barr. This whole time.
She looks a little like Roseanne Barr, though, back in the day.
Yeah, it was just a name, you know? Yeah. And I was like,
she played
why does he hate this woman from the sitcom so much?
No, she was like a talk show host, and then she also was like a Broadway actor, I believe, and she was in Harriet the Spy and the Flintstones movie where she played
the mother-in-law.
Betty Rubble.
Betty Rubble. Barney's
smoke show wife.
Man, I fucking
I love Rosie O'Donnell. Now I like Rosie O'Donnell.
I'm flipping out over here. Who played the other one?
Wilma.
The hotter one.
Excuse you?
Oh wait, which one's Barney's wife? Which one's Barney for a start?
Fred Flintstone, patriarch of the Flintstone household, and then Barney Rubble is his like short little mate who lives next door.
His wife, she was unreal.
She's
like the real example of like unrealistic beauty standards for women, because like when you draw a woman who looks like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know when you're like a little kid and you've yet to even comprehend stuff like that, and you're like, I don't know, I just like her. I'm not sure, I just like her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You never meet a woman like that in real life. Let me tell you now, little Gareth.
Trump says that Martin is so lucky that he wasn't president when the pharma companies were setting up in Ireland, because he said it wouldn't have happened then.
All right.
A journalist then, and then this one was fucking wild. Sorry. A journalist asks Mícheal Martin, she kind of goes like, what do you think about the president's position on Gaza? So her voice and everything she's saying, she's like, a position that is so opposite to yours. She's like, we're going to be on the same page here about Gaza. And this is when
is it an Irish journalist or an American?
No. They might be American, but they sounded of like Middle East origin. They wrote I think they wrote for American Voice or something like that. But anyhow, I couldn't see them. I only heard their accents. So they may well be American. Americans have accents, all sorts of accents, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he like, you know, there's an opportunity to show loyalty to Trump, okay? And also, hey, you know, ding, ding, ding. I see a woman here. That's the bell. The bell rings. It's round one. He's coming out swinging.
Kickboxing. Yeah.
Now
calm down. First of all, calm down. Second of all, what planet are you living on?
Now, he didn't scold her quite as much as he does normally, like with an
Yeah.
Irish journalist, but it was a familiar tone. I was like, okay, we're back on brand here, you know. So,
Yeah.
so she was like, Trump might not be familiar with your Gaza policy or your ideas on Gaza, because Ireland, you believe that Palestine is a state. You know, you recognize it as a state. And he goes, well, hold on now. Like Mr. Trump knows plenty about our Gaza policy. He's well informed. Okay. And then he starts scolding the journalist and says that the president got a ceasefire. And then he condemns the act of hostage taking and says that a lot of people forget this, but I visited Kibbutz Be'eri after it and how affected it was. How affected the Israelis were by that. I'll never forget. I'll never forget, you know?
That's wild. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm not as good as you think I am.
I know.
I'm the opposite. You think I'm good, I'm actually evil.
I know.
Just so you know.
But he's like, oh, we all want a sustainable peace. And then Trump's like, yeah, exactly. And then...
For that journalist, it must have been like the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something, where it's like,
yeah,
this Irish guy comes over, you think he's going to be on your side.
Yeah.
And then it's like, she's like, oh, we agree on this. And he's like, sorry. Hate to do this to you, but
I don't hate to do it to you. I love to do it to you.
Yeah.
By the way, like he's saying, oh, people forget that I went to the kibbutz. I didn't forget, motherfucker. Everybody's been pointing out that you went to that fucking kibbutz over here. Everybody who hates you. I don't know why you'd bring it up. So then naturally... It's
bad that he took it as a criticism. Like,
you know.
He was defending himself.
Like, you know the thing about like Sinn Féin are like, okay, we're not going to go because of Gaza. Such bullshit. Like, to do it a year later. But the thing is that like I didn't expect him to say anything about Gaza, but I didn't anticipate him weaponizing it to try and get cozy with Trump, you know? Yeah. Like he's now used Ireland's position as some sort of neutral arbiter on these things to be like, actually, the president has done a lot and he got a ceasefire, and that's what we all want, a sustainable peace. And actually, do you remember October 7th? Oh God, the images. Yeah. I'll never forget about the hostages that were taken and the hole that I pointed to in that roof in Kibbutz Be'eri. And
you can imagine like the woman, she's like, asked a question and he's like, Trump got the ceasefire, and he turns to him and goes, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not forgetting to thank you.
I don't know if he brought it up in this instance, but he definitely brought it up several times besides. But obviously, it's like coming from a place that has conflict and where we resolved it. Oh, he did. He brought it up in this one, yeah, because he was saying about how everyone in Ireland agreed there should be a two-state solution. And speaking as people who have managed to negotiate the peace process with the help of the Americans, like we know that that's possible.
Are you expecting to inform the president your views on Gaza, considering that you have diametrically opposed positions on the state of Palestine? Your country is one of 3 in Europe that recognizes the state of Palestine. Are you expecting to discuss this with the president? Are you expecting to inform him?
I don't have to inform the president. He's very well clued into the whole situation. We shared the president's, again, unrelenting focus on peace. And he's envoying the president himself, as soon as he came into office, went to get a ceasefire. We've been calling for a ceasefire for a long time. We want to consolidate the peace. That is our fundamental aim. We want the hostages out. I've been saying it from day one. It's a horrific thing to do, to take someone as a hostage. And I went to Kibbutz Be'eri after October the 7th in solidarity with Israel, and that gets forgotten. And I went a week or two afterwards. I saw the kibbutz. It was a shocking thing to see, even though it was a week or two after the horror. It was a village. You could see life going on prior to the attack. It was something that will not leave me. And I've been interested in the Middle East for a long, long time. It's complex, and it's all of that. But we do desperately need hostages out, all of them. It's far too long. Let me finish, please. And then we need a ceasefire. We need to consolidate that. We need a surge of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Because again, there's too many children and too many people starving, and so on. Just too many. And it's that humanitarian impulse is what motivates the Irish. in respect of its views. And I've always been of the view, it's been our view that a two-state solution would be ideal. It's become much more challenging and difficult as time's moved on. But that has always been our position. But it's genuinely to have people, because we've gone through this. We discussed this prior to you coming in. We've been through some of this. People hating each other, terrible acts of violence carried out on each other. We came through it. It's our earnest hope that Arab and Jewish people can live side by side. And I've met with people, parents of children who were killed on both sides, called Parents Circle in Israel, and they work to try and bring people together. It's difficult work.
What about the president's plans to expel Palestinians out of Gaza? Are you discussing that with him and giving him your...
Nobody's expelling any Palestinians. I don't know. Who are you with?
I'm with Voice of America, sir.
Oh, no wonder. Okay, Voice of America.
Wild. And then the next, so then immediately next they give it to an Irish journalist, and the Irish journalist was like, just circling back to the pharma companies. I was like, you fucking demons, you disgusting assholes.
Yeah.
I just feel like they couldn't give a shit. They could not care at all. So yeah, the Irish journalist asked about the pharma companies. Then Mícheal Martin says that the Irish are great workers and that the plants didn't even close during COVID.
Don't admit that.
I know, that's what I found is crazy. He was like, no, we're really hard workers, and actually productivity didn't even take a dip during COVID because they were still open. I was like, well, I thought that was... And then
like, people wanted them to close.
Yeah. And then they asked Trump who his favorite Irish person is. And did you see this? Did you hear this? Have you seen this? You heard about this?
Yeah. He said Gareth Lyons.
What?
And I was like, how did you even hear about that?
Do you know?
Yeah.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah, see Conor McGregor's over there today.
I was just going to fucking say, so like, basically they had to meet last week because they're like, no, we need to meet early in case there's a government shutdown. So they had them all penciled in for the 12th. And then on St. Patrick's Day itself, Mícheal Martin, that is actually good. Okay, now this is good because like you have like Mícheal Martin couldn't go the first year of COVID, couldn't go the second year because he got COVID. Then this time around, finally able to go, gets a radically compromised version, and then the biggest rapist in Ireland gets to go on the actual day.
Seeing McGregor over there on St. Patrick's Day was just so like maybe he will be president. Like you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Well, and here's the thing, because I go, well, he can't be president because he needs all these people to sign X, Y, Z. And I was just like, first of all, he might get it. Secondly, who knows at all anymore? Because they're like, yeah, no, you can take opposition speaking time. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, we can get rid of the triple lock. Who cares? It's like, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess the only thing preventing him is the government itself, potentially. But like, you know.
Yeah, but all it takes is like think about it. The last general election, it was in Louth, wasn't it? That like the Fine Gael candidate like beat the shit out of an old man on camera, and he still was on the take. You know what I mean? It's like maybe McGregor could get it.
Emma O'Doherty didn't get it. I think like I don't know what happens. I don't know how many signatures you need to get. But I remember that was the thing at the time because Catherine Connolly was one of the signatures for Gemma O'Doherty.
Really?
Because there was a point where Gemma O'Doherty wasn't insane.
Before her husband died.
What was the one about? I was just watching a clip of McGregor, and he's in there so they ask him like, he's on at a podium, and he's going over to meet just before he's going over to meet Trump, and then basically he's talking to some press secretary lady, and he's going like, yeah, no, they're overrunning the hotels. There's no hotels in Ireland anymore. They can't even go to cafes. The cafes are closed now. And then it's clearly some reporter has overheard him and goes like, yeah, what about all of the migrants in America? All the Irish migrants in America, Connor. Do you have anything to say about them? The ones who are undocumented. And then he gets up there, look, America's like our big brother. It's our big brother, and you got to take care of your little brother. That's what we want from America. That's what everybody wants in Ireland, is for our big brother to take care of us. And then he goes, and there's a lot of stuff that our American brothers don't know about, brothers and sisters don't know about, and it's spending money on wars that have nothing to do with us, and it's all of these migrants coming in and taking over towns and making people minorities in their own town. And he's up there like, this is on St. Patrick's Day. he's saying this to a scrum of reporters. And like, anyway, it's just that now, like, isn't it funny as well? Like that. So the whole theme of, I mean, we can finish off what happened here as well with the thing. But next thing that happens is Trump is asked about the Apple case, and he says they were treated very badly, and he thought they had a good lawsuit. And then Mícheal Martin goes, "We fought with them. We fought like we helped them."
Yeah.
And then I swear to God he does that. And then Trump starts talking about the Doonbeg Hotel, and then they just. He's like, they were really helpful in trying to get me to put my disgusting piece of shit hotel. And it was the EU that stopped our expansion. It wasn't the Irish government. And if you remember correctly, like there was something about like, I don't know if it was windmills or something like that, but Varadkar was boasting about how he managed to try and fast track some infrastructure. He managed to prevent some infrastructure being built near or he would have if it hadn't, something else hadn't happened.
I forgot to tell the story, Mr. President. As the President alluded to the fact that we actually had been in contact before the President became President and before I became Taoiseach. And it happened 3 or 4 years ago when I was Minister for Tourism. And my assistant John Carroll said that there's a call. Donald Trump wants to speak to you. And I just thought this can't be the case. This has to be a piss take by one of my staff members. Surely a businessman like Donald Trump would write a letter first and we'd organise a meeting. But as we all know, President Trump doesn't work like that. He's a very, very direct man, likes to get things done. So at the other end of the phone was Donald Trump saying to me that he'd bought this resort in Ireland, in County Clare, this beautiful golf resort called Doonbeg. But there was a problem nearby. Somebody was trying to build a wind farm. And that, of course, could have a real impact on tourism and the beauty of the landscape. So I endeavoured to do what I could do about it, and I rang the County Council and inquired about the planning permission, and subsequently the planning permission was declined, and the wind farm was never built, thus the landscape being preserved. And the President has very kindly given me credit for that, although I do think it probably would have been refused anyway. But I'm very happy to take credit for it if the President is going to offer it to me.
And like Mícheal Martin was also like he did say like we weren't with the EU on the Apple tax thing. He was like they were against it. Yeah. Like he sort of threw the EU under the bus. His precious EU, like.
It is mad that they're like kind of constantly like, yeah, we need to join an EU army, but also fuck the EU because they won't let me like steal money that I'm not going to use on anything. I mean, that's a real Irish mentality as well, where it's like, we're going to steal all this money and we're not going to fucking use it on it.
Just want to have it.
Yeah.
In my bungalow.
Yeah.
In the attic.
And then Martin starts to use the opportunity in the closing remarks basically to just suck off Trump. He goes like balls deep. Like he is, it was really something. It was very unpleasant. And a lot of them are going like, well, that's Trump. Trump is like arrogant and he will, like that's their analysis of it. I guess the point that I'm getting at is that like, so they go like, well, what would have other... Sorry, I'm getting distracted because just how fucking craven the whole thing is. A way to structure this would be to read out some of the headlines from the columnists, okay?
Well, what do we have is what he said.
Let me see. No, I don't have what he said. I mean, I can pull up the YouTube video and show you.
Go to Pornhub. Look up Google sucks off orangutan.
Yeah.
Or orangutan.
Just say, President, you have the distinction of being, I think, the only president that has physically invested in Ireland.
That's
through
good.
your Doonbeg.
And it's been a good investment.
And I mean, for anybody, you should go there. It's just stunning.
I love this.
No, I mean, seriously, even if you don't play golf, I mean, it is a stunning landscape.
Yeah.
Your people have restored it very well, and our people are going to continue to work with you on that piece to do it all sort of effectively and so on like that.
They've had a great relationship.
But it is, and the local people, my local councillor Rita McInerney texted me last week to say, tell President Trump to thank his family for the way they've worked with the local community and for the work that they've done.
And then they start talking about Rory McIlroy.
That's mad that he's like, Your hotel is so cute. Like, he's just plugging his hotel on TV.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
used to Trump doing that, but like,
Yeah,
Mícheal Martin, don't do that.
yeah. I see there's another bit with him talking about it. It's just an advertisement for Doonbeg. And then doing that thing of like, actually, a local councillor, a friend of mine, shut the fuck up, you simpering dog.
Cool. That was so dignified.
Yeah, so then
So wonderfully shrewd and dignified.
Here are the headlines, okay? Mícheal gives a masterclass.
That's the end of the free bit. Go to patreon.com/CelticLigers for the rest, where the Ligers break down the pundit celebration over Mícheal Martin's suckfest in Washington. Fergus Finlay continues to moan about being called a little bitch. And, for the day that was in it, 10 concessions we'll have to make, according to the Irish Independent, if we want to see a united Ireland. You won't want to miss it.